Welcome back to The Line. We just heard from reporter Jeff Grammer talk about the UNM Board of Regents' recent decision to cut 4 sports and reduce the rosters of several additional sports. And Dan, now that it's been a week or so, the Durham and Stram has been crazy on Facebook and all kinds of different things, radio talk shows, and for very good reason. But now that we've had a week to look back at it, it seems like there's 2 things. There was the how this decision was done and rolled out to the public, and the actual decision itself. Let's talk about the how. Some concern out there about Open Meetings Act's violations and other things. What's your sense of that so far, what we've got?
I will say, it seems like they moved incredibly quickly. I know that this has been building for some time, that this has been an issue that's been talked about for years. But the reveal of the sports that were on the chopping block and the actual vote came very, very quickly. And I can understand why people want to know why there wasn't a vigorous, longer discussion about it but before the Regents' vote. It's my experience, government tends to move fairly slowly. Most of the time, you go through multiple different steps. So I was struck by the speed with which we learned the sports were proposed for elimination and then the actual vote.
Good point. Vic, pick up on that if you would too, because again, we've got a new president at the university, a new sports AD. It could be reasonably assumed that, look, they had this dumped in their laps. They made a tough decision that from their point of view was the right decision. But was there enough community input on this for these 2 people who frankly are brand new to the community? And I'm not sure from what I'm reading if there was a strong enough take on what the community wants or doesn't want. You see, especially with the soccer thing, something seems to have been missed here. So
completely missed.
Yeah.
I mean, completely missed. And it's very disappointing because, that's one of the things I said on this show when we got the new president.
That's right.
Sit down and talk to people. Right. Don't fly out with decisions.
I remember it well.
Don't do it in a vacuum. And that's exactly what is happening. And, again, there's 4 sports, but the soccer I'm going to have to talk about because this is like one of our good teams. This is one of the good things about my alma mater, folks, okay? This is, we don't have Brian Urlacher anymore, all right? But it sounds like they got a few Brians on the soccer team.
That's right. That's right.
And it's just, I agree. I think there could seriously be some open meetings violations with the quickness of the vote. Absolutely, because how could that, that never happens. People don't unanimously vote on something without discussion. We've all seen it over and over where it's whether it's the city council or the state legislature.
That's right.
And just such a quick decision for the students. And I think that, we can say that we've been talking about it forever, but if you're the student who found out that morning that the reason you came to New Mexico, we'll still pay your scholarship. Well, great, but I can't do the sport that I love, and the whole reason, and I've probably been training since I was a little kid to do this.
The ski team coach has a new job. No one's going to wait. You have to live your life. You have to press on. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of turmoil that's going to come here. But I ask you again, Andy Lyman, is there something here? We've got some state legislators, 5 Democrats specifically this week, that came out and said, look, let's take a look at this legislature. We have some money. Dan mentions a little oil and gas bump we've got here. Is that a viable solution? Or riding oil and gas not where we should be for our sports?
I don't know what the actual solution is. I know that, at least in my time covering the legislature, that UNM has asked for money, maybe not specifically in this scenario they're talking about.
Right.
But, I think it's been for a few years now. I think it also raises questions of why do we have athletics programs at a university or at our specific university?
Thank you.
And whatever that reason is, then we should evaluate which teams we should really value. Is it a money issue, or are we trying to raise money with the tickets?
Yeah, it's amazing. Interesting little factoid, Merritt Allen, that over the last few years, according to analysis at UNM's programs, more than 24 universities around the U.S. have eliminated varsity sports programs in the last 5 years to address financial gender equity or other concerns. So it's not impossible to get rid of these giant sports, but we didn't take that route, did we? And it just seems like the public's not quite convinced that we dug through every possible solution here. That's my sense of it. How about for you?
Well, I think the sad reality is the only sports that generate revenue for a university are basketball and football.
Right.
And a losing football team will always generate more revenue than a winning soccer team. That's
why is
unfortunate.
That? In your view?
Just, I think it's very cultural.
Yeah.
It's the alumni, it's the hype about it. Soccer is still a relatively new sport compared to football on the collegiate level, and I much prefer to watch soccer.
Right.
And it broke my heart to hear this decision. But I think we're looking at years of mismanagement from either incompetence or indifference in the athletic department, and whether there are violations of the Open Meetings Act, I don't think it matters, because I think the remedy would be we'll go back and have public information, do another public vote.
And have the
And I
same-
think that given the speed of it, having
Yeah.
served on boards, having served on boards of organizations in crisis, there's a crisis management team working right now, I would almost guarantee it, at UNM Athletics. And there have been some executive session briefings for the regions where this was probably the best deal they could come up with. And what they need to do is share that information with the rest of us.
Right, right. Dan, interesting, another little side issue that's come up is appropriations for two specific universities, ours here in Albuquerque with UNM and State in Las Cruces. And there's a bit of a confusion thing here where it seems like on paper State's getting about $500,000 more directly for their sports programs. But we've had some information that UNM does get almost equal that amount of money, but just in a different route. Could you give us some clarity on that? Have you had a chance to dig into that a little bit yourself? I'm a little confused on this myself, honestly.
No, I can't really clear that up. It may have to do with an accounting issue. This comes up all the time, that as programs are trying to build support for something, both sides may be arguing that they receive less money than the other, and it may have to do with how spending and revenue is categorized. I do think that legislators clearly are really interested in this issue and want to help. They want to respond to their constituents. But I would point out that part of the problem that they're dealing with is not necessarily financial. It's these gender equity issues. So it could be that this isn't as simple as the legislature funding a soccer team or volleyball or something like that. There may be broader structural issues that have to be addressed, and those may be more complicated than just financial.
Right, and that brings us all the way back to the new AD and the new university president, setting the tone for all these things. And we've got, as I'm thinking about it here in my own noodling, nothing happens in a vacuum. Other sports, I'm going to think, are going to be affected by this somehow, and I'm not quite sure how, but I just get the feeling it is going to be. Do you know?
Why would you
agree with that?
come here
Yeah.
if you were a student that was in anything but basketball or football?
Right.
Am I going to be next? I mean, this saved $1 million. What is their budget?
Right.
What is the foundation doing? I mean, come on, people, besides fighting lawsuits. I mean, seriously, you've got a whole foundation in addition to the legislature that's supposed to be raising money for the university.
That's right.
What are these top cats making for salaries?
Right.
I mean, I get so tired of, we have to, have this huge salary in order to attract somebody. And we did, and we were excited.
That's right. We still don't win.
I think this is a huge blunder on her part right off the bat.
Really? Who's she? Who are you talking about?
Stokes.
Oh, Miss Stokes. Okay.
Absolutely. I think this is a huge blunder. This is,
could
where is the PR firm?
Right.
I mean, there is no reason to do this. And the gender equality thing, we're going to cut this sport because we are not going to build you a place to practice. Why can't the men and women share the practice? You get it in the mornings, you get it in the afternoons.
Right.
I mean, let's quit being ridiculous, people.
Good point.
I mean, we're not going to cut a whole sport because the guys have a place to practice and you can't use it.
That's right.
It doesn't even make sense.
That's right. Just a couple of minutes here left, Andy. Interestingly, as we tape here on Thursday midday, last night I watched a very exciting soccer game on TV, and it's just so clear that soccer is on the rise. It's amazing. The fans were going out of their minds. It was I don't know if you caught it. You watch a lot of soccer too. It was the Man U game last night, but it was just so interesting. It's kind of a preseason thing, but Ms. Stokes said, look, it was about the future of sports, and I'm not sure if football is the future for a lot of folks' minds here in our community. What are you hearing from other folks? That was interesting to me.
Yeah, I do think it. Like Merritt said, I think it's still fresh in people's minds. I know fans have tried to emulate what happens at football games. Football games, it's a whole thing, right? There's
Yes.
tailgate. You sit out there all day in the parking lot before the game. They were trying to get that going with soccer games. I think the ticket prices are a little bit lower. It's a little, so you're excited. It's still an exciting thing, but also, you know, scoring. It comes down to just things that we're not used to as I guess, New Mexicans watching. You know, it's you don't have the hitting like football. You don't have the fast scoring like
right.
basketball.
That's right.
I think people are coming around to it, though.
Interesting, my colleague Khalil Ekalona sat right in this chair and talked to some folks from the Albuquerque Soul, new soccer outfit that's here. And I couldn't help, rewatching that interview, I couldn't help, Andy, but think about that losing this NCAA program is actually a blow to them as well. Because if you think about it, what happens if you get this 4-year star out of UNM, decides to go play for Albuquerque Soul? You've got this built-in audience already. You can turn the wickets. You know what I mean? It just seems like you can't just end things and other people not be affected somehow, you know? So just to finish this, what's your sense about soccer's future here in Albuquerque with all that other stuff, but no NCAA level soccer?
Yeah, I think that I thought about that too. I mean, that's a direct, you can pull people from that team,
Right.
players. We're going to be looking, I mean, what's the draw for future players to come here? We don't have that, like you said, built-in infrastructure of the fans. But then again, maybe that's where we go watch soccer now, because we can't watch.
That's a good point. That's good. We had the right coach. We had everything. We had all the pieces in our soccer program. It was
Coach
terrific.
is awesome.
Yeah, and he's fighting. He's still fighting. You have to give this guy a lot of credit, please. Oh, I thought you had something to say. Sorry about that. We'll have to end that there. Now, we'd like to know what you think of any of the topics covered on this week's program. Just go to NewMexicoInFocus.org or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.